Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Chaparral 254Rls. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact your parts department. We'd be more than happy to put together a quote for you to get you set up with that. Also located at the back is going to be your observation ladder, so you can get up top, check all your seals periodically, and if you were to be equipped with solar panels, it'd be a great way to get up there so you can clean it periodically, just to make sure everything's all clean and good. Also at the back, if you notice down below here, you got a receiver mounted right down here. You're gonna notice some tools still on the back, because this customer did request for us to reinforce it a little bit, as he's gonna be carrying a little bit more than what the specified weight limit was. So we're doing that for him. And then coming down the driver's side of the unit, you're gonna notice this drain outlet sticker here. If you come and tuck your head down below, in between the two tires here, you're gonna have that valve. You're gonna wanna pull that valve, and that is gonna be how you drain the fresh tank. And that's gonna be how you get all your fresh tank out of all the water out of your fresh tank. You also have some greasable shackles here, so it's good to be giving those periodic grease every once in a while. And then you're gonna come to your sewer outlet here, just taking this, twisting this cap, pulling it off. You're gonna take those ears there. There's gonna be the same two ears your sewer hose has. They just line up like so and lock into place. You got liquid waste and body waste. Liquid waste is gonna be your black tank. Body waste is gonna be your gray tank. You always wanna empty your black tank first. There's gonna be your dirtiest water, which is your liquid waste. Then you can come behind that with that is the total opposite. I'm wrong. Body waste is black, liquid waste is gray. So you're gonna wanna empty the body waste first, which is your black tank, and then you can come behind that with your liquid waste, which is your gray tank. It's gonna be typically the cleanest water, so it helps keep that hose a little bit cleaner. Also located at the back, where I forgot to mention, got your bumper tube, pinching the cap like it says, pulling it out. It's gonna want to be where you store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. But that is where you're gonna want to store that. You get your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, it will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then you do have your standard 50 amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of that silver strip there. It lines up with this silver strip on this side. Pushing, locking that into place, 8th turn to lock it in. If you follow that cord back, you do come to your standard 50 amp plug in. Now, because you do have two air conditioners equipped, you do have to have this 50 amp service to run both of them at the same time. But we do also include this 30 amp dog bone adapter, because in case you get to your campsite, you only have 30 amp service. We do include this adapter so you can still plug in. The only difference is you won't be able to run both the air conditioners at the same time. You will only be able to run one at a time. So just keep that in mind whenever you are using it. Once you plug in, the unit's plugged in, you got your exterior shower, which opens up with just your standard 751 key. Then you have your city water connections, thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's gonna pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. And then right up top, you're gonna notice the black tank flush, making sure you do read the caution sticker before you use that, because you do have to have the black tank open and the sewer hose connected. Reason being, if you're pushing pressure inside of that tank and the pressure's got nowhere to go, it's always good to have that there so that you can flush out that tank if you start getting false monitor panel readings. Opening up this compartment door, you're going to notice this little flap here. This is so that you could run up your cable satellite outlets. And then right down below is going to be kind of your water system controller. This white panel here, got the corresponding systems here. So if you wanted to fill your fresh tank, of course, everything goes through the city water. To fill the fresh tank, you'd have this valve pointed up, this valve pointed to the left. Now that's going to be pushing water into your fresh tank. Once you've finished your fresh tank, disconnect your water, pull the trailer to your site. You want to put the system back into use, so you're going to lift that valve back to straight, turn this valve back to the left. Now that's going to be drawing off your fresh tank using the water pump. If you're at a site with service, you just turn both of these up. And you're into the city water connection, so if you turn the water on, pressurize all the lines, you don't even need to run your water pump. It also says city water hookup / winterize. So if you were winterizing, you would just have to lift both these valves like so, take this cap off, insert this line into there, stick this into your jug of antifreeze, and continue your winterization process. Like I said, it's pretty easy to follow. Then you got your battery disconnect on the front wall here. There's also a little light inside here, which is an awesome little feature. With the battery disconnect switch on the wall, with the on position, the batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn that to the off position, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. And in addition to that, it does also disable the 12-volt system. So if you ever get to your campsite, plug your trailer in, can't figure out why any lights or nothing 12 volts working, it's probably because you have a battery disconnect switch off. So just making sure you do have them connected when you go to use the unit. This little switch here turns on some accent lights at the front of the trailer. They're pretty cool. Show off to your friends a little bit. It's a nice little feature. Power switch for your electronic leveling system. You turn it on. You can either run them manually with just pushing through your different options. So you're going to see you got auto hitch, which is settable. You got auto retract all, which is going to be how you retract all the jacks once you're done camping. Then you got auto retract rear and auto manual level. Manual leveling, so you want to manually level the unit yourself, and then you come back to ready. Now if you wanted to automatically level it, you just hit auto level. Of course, all the jacks are going to start making their way down. You're going to want to keep everyone out of the unit, try and keep the unit from moving. Make sure your slides are already out, and it's going to automatically level the unit. And then to retract it, you just have to go to the auto retract all, or you could hit the retract button, hit front or rear. You can also do left and right. And that's how that all works. Power button, turn it back off. In this compartment here is just going to be one of two 30-pound propane tanks. The main one's on the other side, so I'll show you how to use it on that side. Then coming around the front again, you're going to have front of the trailer. This customer did decide to go with a sidewinder. And then you got this front compartment, lifting that guy up. It hooks up at the top. This is going to be an awesome extra storage space. Just keep in mind of all your wiring and everything. You're not going to want to be affecting any of that. And inside this box is that battery, 27 RV. Should be fully charged. You come pick it up already. Coming to the passenger side of the unit now. You can open up this guy where you're going to find the second 30-pound propane tank. Counterclockwise, like any standard barbecue, to turn on the flow of propane into the unit. Now over here is your regulator. On the top of that regulator, you do have this little black valve. With the black valve pointed towards this tank, you're obviously going to be drawing off this tank. If you were to turn that valve to the other side, you'd start drawing off the tank on the other side. So the way that works is you're using this tank, drawing off this tank. Once this tank goes dry, let's say you have to go fill it up, you can turn this off, disconnect it, flip that switch to the other side so you can draw off the other tank while you get this one filled. And opening up this compartment here. Got your standard starter kit, which comes included with the unit. It's going to contain sewer hose, water hose, 15 amp park adapter in case you wanted to go down from that 30 amps of power. But if you do use this 15 amp park adapter, you're not running an air conditioner. It's really just to run your fridge and your lights. And then on the wall, you do have your Slido override as well as the spare tire dropper. Over here, you got your Furrion water heater. Twisting that cap, you can pull this off, set it off to the side. You got your power switch in the left corner. It's mainly what you're going to want to worry about. It supplies power to the thermostat inside. Now, if you've had a trailer or camper before and you did the winterizing yourself, you're probably going to remember having to bypass the water heater. This one you do not want to bypass. You do want to run antifreeze through it. Once you're done your winterizing process completely, taking this black cover, it just pulls right out of place. Remove this brass plug. That's going to allow the antifreeze to drain out of the system or the water, whichever case that you'd like it. And if you were doing the winterizing, you'd want to leave that black brass plug out, so that way once the antifreeze does start gelling up during those extremely cold winter months, it has a place to go and it's not going to expand and crack inside the tank. Clicking that back into place like so. You just have to line up the tabs, push and pull down, locks that in, and then you can take your furnace exhaust cover, throw that on there. JBL speaker, a couple plug outlets. You're gonna notice another drain outlet sticker here. It's because you do have the 2 low point drains right here down below the floor. Loosen these guys off, the caps. It's gonna drain all the most of the water inside the lines, where that's handy if you don't want water going stale or stagnant. Cracking those guys open, it's gonna try and drain as much water out of the lines as possible. Works also good for winterizing. Drain as much antifreeze out of the system as you can before you close it up. You got your propane quick connect line right down here below the floor. So this is hard plumbed right into your propane tanks at the front. The reason they got this here is, let's say you had a little portable smoker or barbecue that you wanted to hook up, but you didn't want to have to carry the extra tank around. You can get the quick connect lines from us here at the store, and they connect right up to your barbecue, so that way it's just quick in and out. You don't have to carry an extra tank with you. Now to get inside, these stairs that normally be folded up, you're gonna pull them down. You do have adjustable camp feet, so you're just lifting up these tabs here. It's gonna allow you to adjust the legs so you can have nice and level stairs for your campsite. Taking that assist handle, folding it out, locking it 90 degrees. Then you can open up your door. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the left is gonna be that fire extinguisher. It's gonna be just like home, pull a pin and shoot. And then up on the wall here, it's gonna be your kind of main monitor panel system. You also got this big light switch which turns on the front set of living space lights. Water pump switch, turning that on, draws out of your fresh tank. You got entryway lights, turning that on, turns on the back set of living space lights. And then of course you do have an awning light switch which turns on a little awning LED light. And then you have an exterior light switch which is going to turn on some porch lights and a couple little accent lights. Got your main slide out button. So before you ever run your slide out in or out, always making sure you know what's on either side of it. It's going to be able to travel fully in or fully out freely and not cause any damage. The reason I say checking the inside is sometimes during travel things can sometimes tend to shift. Always just try and make sure that it's travel area is free. You're not going to hook any of the boards. I know on this side it's going to be pretty hard, but just whenever you are operating the slide out, just making sure you're visual, making sure that it's going out nice and even. Holding that button, once the slide out does hit its full extension, you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. At that point, you can just let off that button. It is always good to do full range of motion with the slider whenever you're going in or out. Now I know that's not always possible. It's not the end of the world if you can't do a full range of motion. It's just not the greatest on the gears of the drive system. You got your awning switch, so that works pretty simple as well. Hit the extend button, the awning's going to start rolling its way out. And once it's at its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Sometimes the flap can get stuck, so you might just have to retract it and put it back in. So you got that little flap coming down, and now you can see the back of the metal tube, so you know you get your full extension with that awning. Now if we were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better, because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm, just making sure that you do always push these arms back to straight before you go to run that awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. Another thing to keep in mind is whenever you do have it out, keeping an eye on the wind speeds. Once they start picking up, you're going to want to make sure you bring that in. You don't want to run the risk of bending your arms, ripping your fabric. It gets pretty expensive pretty quickly. And then to bring it in, you're just holding the retract button. The awning's going to start rolling its way in. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, it's going to automatically cut the motor, and that's going to be in. Now, if you ever do have to roll this in because you get into a storm and the awning's wet while you roll it in, just making sure you do try and roll it back out at your next earliest convenience. That way you can allow it time to dry off, so you're not accelerating the growth of mold or mildew inside there. Hail is going to be another big thing you're going to want to watch for. You don't want it puncturing holes right through your fabric. Now that we're inside and we're all done that, you do have your tank heater system. It's for extended camping season. Now, unfortunately, our Manitoba winters get much too cold for it to be adequate. So just keep in mind, if you are going down below zero, you do run the risk of things freezing, even with the tank heater system. The tank heater system is just pads stuck onto the bottom of your tanks to try and keep things warm and from freezing. You got your monitor panel system. You hit the button, it's going to tell you the corresponding level. At the back wall here, all the blinds in the unit are going to work the same way. They're just going to kind of sit where you leave them. Then one quick pull will allow them to retract back up. You got your light switch There's going to be tons of accent lighting throughout this unit. You're going to find it probably on your own. They're going to be a button for them or on their own center push buttons. There's tons of it throughout. Storage up top. And again, we're going to have tons of storage through this unit. Just keeping in mind drains, water lines, and wiring whenever you are putting things inside of it. And then you do have your couch at the back here. That also does fold out into a bed. You just have to remove those cushions out of the way. Grab the foot of your couch, pick up, pull it towards you. That's going to allow it to fold down. You can now pull those legs out from underneath it. Set it down. Then you can take the back of your couch, flip it down, and you'd have yourself another bed in case you have any extra guests. And then to get it back in is just the complete opposite. You're picking it up, folding the legs in, and allowing it to fold back in on itself. And then you can just take your cushions and put them back to the way they were. Now into your dinette area, light switch. You're going to notice these travel straps here. There's going to be more travel straps all throughout this unit, including on the fridge here, to making sure that whenever you're traveling, things aren't moving around. You'd be really surprised at how aggressive it is inside here when things are moving. So that's why the travel straps are included. That way those things aren't going to be shifting around, causing any damage into any walls, making sure that they're just tight and they're not going to go anywhere. Got your eating area, which is pretty simple. Not much I need to explain there. Then you come into your entertainment center. Now, if you come down below the TV, you're going to notice these coax outlets right beside them. There's that little green button. Now, that green button is letting you know that you turn the antenna on the roof. Whenever the antenna is on the roof, it's also going to improve cell phone frequency and radio frequency. So I typically recommend leaving it on when you get to your campsite, but of course turning it off when you aren't using the unit because it does draw battery power. You got your TV mounted right on the wall here. Then down below you got your JBL sound system, power button on the far left to turn it on. It's going to have Bluetooth and all those kind of good things. It's going to work pretty much just like home. I'm going to turn the sound on so YouTube doesn't demonetize us. The only thing I'm going to have to show you is the different speaker modes. So if you push the little speaker option there, you're going to notice now it says Zone B. So Zone B is going to be the exterior speakers. To turn them on, you push that button. Once you push that button, you just have to hit the little skip back button to on, and now those outside speakers are going to be on, and just adjusting the volume the same as you would if they were off. And then to go back to off, you just turn them back to off. And let's say you just wanted to run the outside speakers because people are sleeping inside, you can turn off the sound bar. The sound bar says itself right here, sound bar. So you would just push that button again and you could go to off to turn this off and still run the one outside. Storage all around. Coming into your kitchen area, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic, just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit. Open up some windows and vents to get some fresh oxygen inside of here. As an added extra note to that, it is very sensitive to cleaning chemicals, so if you were cleaning around it and sprayed any sort of chemical, use your best judgment, but it probably could just be that. Other than that, standard kind of kitchen area, sink, hot and cold water, microwave, range hood. Now I always recommend running a range hood whenever you are running your stove, that you are evacuating those propane fumes. Quickly before we get to that, you got one of your main GFI plugs on the wall. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, you got reset on the right, test on the left. The red light's on, the system's tripped, so that's why the outlets aren't working. So just making sure that that's not tripped. Back to the stove. So we're gonna say a couple more safety notes about propane, because if you turn the system off at the front, it's going to allow air into the system, and especially if you disconnect one of the bottles, it allows a lot of air into the system, and sometimes it can take a few minutes to be purged out. So the quickest, easiest way to do that is just by firing up your stove. The reason I say fire up your stove is because you control for how long it can light for. If you go to fire up your fridge, water heater, or furnace, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they don't light, they're going to throw a fault code. And if you don't know what the fault code means, it could throw some frustration into your weekend, which we do try to keep to a minimum and keep the good times rolling. So that's why I always recommend coming to your stove first thing. To get that going, you do just have to push the knobs in, turning it over to the high option to get it to light. You're going to see it almost lit there. It did light up pretty quick just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it. You also got that little light to turn on some illumination lights all around. And as you can see, I had the system running earlier, but that's how quickly air can make its way in. It's gonna take a few minutes. You can sometimes run two at the same time to just try and make it go quicker. But just keep it in mind, let's say you turn this knob over and you don't hear that clicking. If you get a buildup of gas and it were to start clicking again, you could lose some eyebrows and eyelashes, which we try to avoid. So always making sure you're hearing the clicking whenever you're running the gas valve. So that way, whenever the gas does start flowing out of there, it's gonna ignite. It's not gonna build up and cause a small combustion. So there you go, it does light right on up. Sometimes it goes out, so you have to try it again, but just be patient with it. And it does light up, no problem. Turning these all back to off. Coming to light your oven. The oven can take even more longer than the stove, just because the gas orifice for the pilot is so small. So you're gonna turn it over to this high/pilot option, pushing and holding that knob in. Looking down below, you're gonna see that little gas orifice in the back there where the spark is going. Once the pilot's lit, which as you're seeing is what I mean by sometimes it can take a few minutes. Once you can let off the button and that pilot can hold its own, you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. Now right below the fridge, we do have the main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses are on the right. And then you got your fridge. Opening up that guy, fridge freezer combo. Controls for all that are just right here. Obviously the off section is off, cold is cold, and the coldest is the coldest. That guy's off. Storage all throughout. That is going to be it for the kind of main living space. Taking a step up on the stairs, you got a little hallway light that is on its own little button here. And then you come to the thermostat that controls your rear air conditioner as well as your furnace system. And in addition to that, it does also have a heat pump built into this air conditioner, so we'll just go over that quickly. Essentially, when you're running the air conditioning, you're blowing out the hot air, blowing in the cold air. Engaging the heat pump gets it to do the exact opposite. It's going to blow in the hot air and blow out the cold air. So that's all you're doing there. That could be adequate on most days, but sometimes when it gets really cold, that's why they do also include the furnace. Now you can run both of those at the same time or one at a time. You're going to pick whenever you are running your heat pump though. There's also vents that are ducted into your underbelly to try and keep things warm under there. So again, during camping, colder camping seasons, it's a good thing to run, but just keeping in mind it's not adequate for like -30. Realistically, over -0, you're going to be running the risk of things freezing, so just keep that in mind. To use it, just hit the mode button. It's going to first take you to fan on. It's just moving air around with that air conditioner. There's no heating or cooling involved. You can change the speed by pressing the fan button. One more time, we'll get you into cool. Whenever you're in the cool, you got the fan on. That's high fan. First one's high fan, the second one's low fan. Now you get into the auto. Whenever it is in auto, which is the setting I recommend leaving it on, it turns that into an on-demand system, so the room is set to 60. Once the thermostat senses the room's at 60, it's going to kill the air conditioner. If you had the fan on high or low without the auto, it's going to run just continuously, regardless of what your room is set to, up or down at any time to change your desired set room temperature. Hitting the mode button one more time will take you into that heat pump option, which I've already kind of explained. And the same thing for the fan option as well, with the auto being there. It's an on-demand system. One more time, that's going to engage your furnace now. Your furnace does run off propane, so your propane has to be on for that to run. The furnace only has one fan speed, and it's going to move all its air through the floor ducting you have throughout the unit. And the air conditioners move their air through the ceiling ducting you have throughout. One more time, you get into just the furnace option, and another time, turns everything off. Once you do turn off the furnace does run for an additional 3 minutes just to allow itself time to cool down as an added safety feature. So stepping into the bathroom, light switch on the left. Now you're gonna notice again, another travel strap, making sure that's latched, because if it's not, this door is gonna be sliding around freely, which is probably gonna cause itself to destruct. So we don't want that. So making sure you latch that whenever you start traveling. And the same does go for these beautiful shower doors. They're glass. They're probably gonna break if you don't lock this little latch on it. Once that latch is on there, it's going to lock them into place. They can't go anywhere, nice and safe. Hot and cold water inside of there. Another main GFI plug on the wall here. So again, you got two different ones you have to check. The one in the kitchen and the one in here. They're going to operate two different circuits. We left a little toilet paper holder just because it's a personal preference thing. You can install that wherever you'd like. It's going to be the best for you guys. And then up on the wall, up top here, you got this little, shouldn't be on there still, take that off. This is a motion sensing light, which is awesome. They work great. If at the back here, you're not going to see it with the camera, but you got a 2 and a 1, and in the middle is going to be the 0, which is off. Whenever it's in the 2 option, it's the motion sensing option, and whenever it's in the 1 option, it's going to be on continuously. So it's nice because if you leave it in the motion sensing option, you turn that off once there's no motion, it's going to kill the light. Somebody gets up to use the bathroom, as soon as it senses you, it's going to turn itself on. It's going to be a personal preference thing. And then in the bathroom on the wall here, you got your main thermostat for your water heater. On off at the press of a button. You can change your desired set temperature by going up or down with the buttons. Max is out at 124. You change it between Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Pretty standard. If you were to crack open the hot tap, if you had your water pump or your city water hooked up, you're going to get a little shower head trickling, and then the flame is going to come on. If that flame were to never come on, it's just telling you that it's not either not sensing a flame lighting or you're not getting propane. So you're going to have to start diagnosing or bring it back to us, of course. Now, but last but not least, we are taking a step into the bedroom. The light switch is on the right. You got your bed. Fire exit, just keep it in mind, you are now up pretty high, so if you're going to be hopping out of here, you might want to go legs first. If you go head first, it's going to hurt. You got this little red tab, taking it, pulling it, the whole screen's going to pop out. Then you can take your red handle, lift it up, push it, and hop on out. Other than that, pretty standard bedroom area, except, again, another sliding door, which means another travel latch, making sure that that is latched again. Got tons of storage space throughout here, which is pretty awesome. And then up on your head is going to be that second air conditioner, which this customer did opt to have installed. All the controls for it are right up here. This is going to be your cooling setting. So this is going to be how much the compressor kicks in. So you got the warmest setting on over here, and the coldest setting is going to be to the right. And then you got your fan setting. So the first fan setting is low. Now this is just moving air around using the fan, medium, high. One more time. Over here is going to be when the compressor kicks in, so you get the air conditioning effect on the high fan, and then the low fan and the lowest fan. And then cycling it back over just turns it off. This air conditioner doesn't move air through the ceiling ducting. It does just move its air through these little portal things you got here, so you can adjust those how you like them. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.